Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. That's my guy.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Guilty as Charged podcast, coming to you live on a Tuesday evening. Busy day at Chargers practice with some news updates, which we'll get into, as well as our weekly film review segment. So, again, a little bit condensed for preseason, but we'll get to some fun stuff that we're seeing on tape and some good players who have definitely shown very well so far in 2 games thus far for the Chargers. Joining me, as always, to do that is my good friend Tyler. Tyler, you're back at school. How's everything going? Are you excited to see your kids tomorrow? And just general, like, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well. I love my job. I hated that summer hit. It was a nice week off, and then I wanted to go back. I don't need summer. I've got the energy. Let's do this. There wasn't even football. So, what's my identity if there's no football and no teaching? But yes, tomorrow the kids are returning to school, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's I think there's definitely a place for summer vacation for educators. I mean, we burn ourselves out so quickly throughout the school year. I've always had the take that summer vacation should be a month, and then we should get right back to it. For us as educators, just because I think we need that rhythm. The students definitely take 3 months off. Go enjoy your summer vacation. Get away from me. But so Brooke and her students, Brooke was back yesterday. Their students go back on Monday. My school is year round, so we get 3 weeks off, and then we get right back to it. So, it's if you know a teacher, know a counselor, know an administrator, send them some good vibes for the next couple days, because getting back to school that first week is just it's never as easy as it should be.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm excited. I'm just excited. I'll be tenured. Thank goodness. You know what? I do whatever I want. Burn the place down. I'm tenured. So I'm good to go now.
Yeah. So Tyler's students are obviously back early. You guys get an extended week in the springtime. So that's why they're back super early.
We get ski week. We get ski week off in February. So winter break, another week off in February, dry March, and then a spring break in April usually. Yeah,
our spring break is super early this year. It's the last week of March, because Easter is earlier this year than last year was, which kind of sucks. But anyways, this is our education talk. But as people kind of file in, we'll get to it. Before we get to the news and notes from today's practice, as well as our film review, of course, have to tell you guys about our friends over at PrizePicks, the best and easiest way to consume daily fantasy sports. As always, football season is right around the corner, but baseball season is in full swing. Step up to the plate with PrizePicks and add your favorite baseball players to your lineup. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs, make your call with more or less and play for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. If you think Shohei Ohtani will get more than home run this week, or Juan Soto for more than one hit, you can cook up that and many more hot takes with your friends and win real money this baseball season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. I live here in the Central Valley of California. The Dodgers and Giants rivalry is very real here. And I've got a bunch of my coworkers on PrizePicks, and I hear them, from time to time talking about, Shohei's more here or there. And it's just been a fun conversation, obviously, to use PrizePicks that way. So it helps yourself. It helps our show, gives you stuff to talk about. Definitely recommend PrizePicks. Go to the app store of your choice. Use the code GUILTY at checkout to $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app PrizePicks today. Use the code GUILTY to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Okay, we're going to start with the Najee Harris conversation, because there's been some more updates, more progress for Mr. Najee Harris. According to Chris Rim, he ran for the first time, at least visibly to the media, and participated in drills with the football for the first time in training camp. So he obviously participated in that part of practice off to the side with an athletic trainer. This, of course, coming after the Snapchat picture that he posted himself last week, where his eye was essentially closed. But he is jogging. He is making progress. The Chargers have been very non-committal about timeline. but we're getting down to the home stretch here of being able to see him week 1. So where are you at with like your expectations for him? How are you kind of approaching the 53 in particular, and your reaction to Najee's update today?
I have my doubts that he's going to play week 1. Now, does he play week 2? Possibly. I don't know. Like, we still don't know exactly what this is, other than eye injury, and a week ago I was shut. He's progressing physically, but he is clearly not going to be in game shape anytime soon. Whereas these other running backs who are playing very, very well, / Amarian Hampton, who didn't play last week, but that's not because he was injured or anything. I just don't see him playing in week 1. And this is a week 1 game that is not Sunday or Monday. It's Friday, September, which means you probably have to know by Monday the 1st, Labor Day, which is 20 days away. And we'll talk about Becton, same idea for him. I don't see this suddenly resolving itself and him also getting into game shape and learning everything in 20 days. I just don't see that happening. Will he maybe travel with them, go through all the motions? Sure, that's very possible. I could see him being like doubtful or something to play, but he's still on the list. That eye isn't any better. And it's not like this is a player who can do everything and he's wearing like a mask and he's trying to just protect the eye, but everything else he can do. It's not even doing anything else. Really, the jogging, the basic stuff, like he's coming back from an ACL tear or something. So he's not playing week 1. Is that specifically problematic? It's not great. It's kind of just the combination of everything else. And also he's probably not playing in week 1. That sucks.
Yeah, I don't want to pretend to be, in on his camp or be one of the doctors who worked with him. But just from a sheer conditioning standpoint and sheer atrophy of his muscular frame, I have a very difficult time believing that he would be completely ready to go week 1, even if he were cleared physically tomorrow, because he likely has not done much lifting, working out, the general, day-to-day stuff that it takes to be an NFL player, to be an NFL running back. He's jogging for the first time again to the media, visibly to the media today. This is going to be a ramp up period, and I don't want to put a timeline on it, but I'm kind of operating that he's going to start the season on the NFI list. He's going to remain there. And I'm just not going to put a timeline on it. I don't think I feel comfortable enough with where he's at physically to just guess and say, yeah, he's going to be ready by week 2. We have no idea.
Right.
Because he's going to take some time to get back to who he was. This is not like this is like a scat back who weighs 190 pounds. Like Najee at his best probably weighs like 225, 230 pounds. He could be 205 right now for all we know. So the eye healing and him running, that's a great sign for his own physical health. But in terms of him playing, I think we're pushing it if this is even like week 4, honestly, just because he's going to need time to ramp up. I don't know when we're going to see Najee Harris, and that's kind of been how I've been thinking about this recovery from the get-go.
No, I agree, because it was, hopeful for week 1, trying to be ready by the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And maybe he's cleared to practice by then. But then, as you mentioned, there's a whole ramp up period and conditioning, whatever it has to be to get him there. I think also just this is going to help their roster game a little bit because of the NFI, because he won't count against their roster. So I just think that even if it's just running back for running back, to keep, let's say, Haskins or Sanders or Vidal, whoever, as that 4th guy instead. Yeah, I like you. I don't see this happening anytime soon. The progress reports on him are almost not laughable, because I commend the progress, but it's today he walked. And today he had a weighted vest. And it's that's where we're at. We're not even at he's doing cuts and drills and he's catching passes from Herbert. We're getting crumbs of progress. So at the rate he's gone, which has been an injury that sustained July 4th. So we're 1 month and about a week since that. I don't see him suddenly turning things around in 20 days or 30 days or 40 days. Like you, it's just a wait and see. So whenever he's back, awesome. I think the Chargers will be better for it. I think it'll be really good timing heading into whatever game it'll be. But I don't see him week 1, week 2. I agree with you. Now, I could be shocked. Would love to be surprised.
Sure.
I just don't see him back anytime soon.
Yeah, I think if he stays on the NFI list, which I think that's where we're trending, the earliest he would be back is week 5 because he would have to miss the 4 weeks to start the season. So who knows? We have no idea how he's going to handle this, but I think just from a sheer conditioning and physicality standpoint, it's going to take some time, and he could be a completely different player. Again, he might be 205, he could be 210, maybe he plays at 225 during the season. So that's my main thing. And just like when the statement from the agent came out and it was like, yeah, we're pretty optimistic that he can play by week 1, I was like, okay, that would be amazing. Maybe that's an indication of things that maybe a little bit more positive on that front. And then, like you said, now it's like, oh, he's walking on the sideline for the first time, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is like, this is like a ways away from him playing football. So it's great to hear that he's making progress physically and can start doing football drills, but it's gonna take a minute here. So I would expect him to, maybe expect is the wrong word there, but I would think that he's gonna start the regular season on the NFI list, miss the 4 games, and then they'll kind of reassess where he's at.
Yeah, I am a little curious because of the way the Chargers season has just been going. Like, how is the vision in that specific eye? Once it is no longer completely swollen shut, what is the vision behind that?
Yeah.
What is his actual vision? We have not actually heard that. I'm sure there are tests and doctors and very expensive tests that have been done to determine what it will be like once his eye returns to normal. But like, I sitting here right now, I'm not 100% sure that his vision is even like fully there. Like there is a world based on the way the season has been going, or the off season has been going. Like he doesn't play this year. There is a very real possibility that happens, because that eye does not look very good, or the area around the eye does not look very good. It's positive.
Sorry, I'm laughing. Alex says probably better than my prescription.
Yes, Alex chimes in, probably better than my prescription. Yeah, I have to go in to update mine, Alex. So we'll compare later. Yeah, but yeah, man, I don't know.
Yeah, DZ asking, is it swollen shut or was that a patch? Based off of the picture that he posted himself, which I still can't believe anybody let him actually do that. His eye is pretty dang swollen. There's like a little like sliver, but his eyelid is still really, really swollen, and under his eyelid is still really swollen. Not that it was like a super clear picture by any means, and you have to like zoom in, obviously, but yeah, man, I think it's gonna be a while, which sucks because Najee has never missed a game in his football career. College, high school, NFL, and then he comes to the Chargers and he has this happen. It's just like you can't make this up. You can't make it up. And I've been wait and see mode, but now with we're 3 weeks away essentially from the first game. I think it's gonna be a while until we see Najee Harris.
Yeah, listen. And the fact that he even posted that makes me question what the hell his vision is. Because like, did he think looking at that photo, he's like, no, you can't see anything through that. No, we're good. Send. Yeah. And then all of us with 2 working eyes went, dude, we can see your eye. Did you not know that? Like, did you not know we could see your eye through that visor? Like, really, how is his vision? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea how you how does your eye respond to being shut for 2 months? I have no idea how that works. They could probably put a contact lens in there and figure it out from a clarity standpoint, but yeah, man, it's not great. It's not great. He definitely has an eye. For people who thought that he lost his eye, you can see some white there, of his eyeball, but yeah, it's not great. Not great.
Yeah, right now we're at Tyler in the sunlight. We're trying to progress to Steven normally. That's kind of the eye level we're working at right now. So
you said that to me.
That's where we're at, guys. We're at blinding light Tyler phase, and we're trying to get away from that. It's like normal light.
Oh man.
Oh man. Anyway, Mekhi Becton, anyone?
Yeah. Let's get to Mr. Mekhi Becton. It has been 2 weeks since Mekhi Becton has last practiced. There's been, again, a lot of he's working through something, he's abundance of caution, etc. Greg Roman said today that he is participating in walkthroughs. He is participating in the meetings. He was off to the side working out with a trainer in the weight room during today's practice. I was told like a week ago that if the Chargers had a game that week that Mekhi Becton would be practicing, but I was also kind of expecting for him to start practicing again. So Jamaree Salyer is getting a ton of reps with the first team offense while this whole situation is going on. Again, like we're 3 weeks away from the season starting. I'm less concerned than the fan base on Twitter, but I'm definitely starting to get concerned about Mekhi Becton and his potential injury that's going on here.
Yeah, so my hope was kind of what it's been like with Lad McConkey, which was, okay, minor thing, could play tomorrow. And look, he's back, he's progressing. He said himself, hey, I got to make sure everything's good and get back into full game shape, but like I'm good. I'm back. And with Becton, it's just been, again, like since my birthday, I was in a different state. 2 states ago is the last time that Mekhi Becton was practicing. And I would hope for the reason I was just slightly more like nervous about this one is because of the injury history that we've discussed. Right. We don't know what it is. Some people have pointed out it could be like a patella tendonitis issue. Someone on social media pointed that out. I don't know. I'm not going to want to pass judgment on that one. I'll call Jameson for an answer, but it's getting a little worrisome for me because with Mekhi Becton, it's with most of these injuries, it's working through something, it's minor, working through something, it's minor, working through something, it's minor. It's specifically Greg Roman today saying, I expect him to be out there at the start of the season, but I'm not putting anything in concrete. That's when I went,
yeah, like, that made me stand up a little bit.
I'm just a little curious what you mean by that, Greg. Who's a little bit more open than Jim Harbaugh has been this offseason, which I sort of appreciate.
Greg has no filter right now. Ask him anything.
Pretty much. Yeah, so just that specific statement, it might mean nothing, but it's the first time I kind of lean towards what's going on here. And plus, it's been 2 weeks since he's practiced.
Yeah, and if this were anybody else, I don't think I would be that concerned because, working off to the side, abundance of caution, generally speaking, that's a player who like you're going to be, okay with in terms of playing like football when it matters. But Mekhi Becton has had several knee and ankle issues, for all of the positives that come with his frame and how he can run block and the things he can do from a power perspective. It does tend to be a little bit difficult for those guys to stay healthy. And it's, one of the main reasons, like Amarius Mims is the same kind of way, and he's struggled to stay healthy already. So I'm very curious to see what this looks like. He missed 2 games last year for the Eagles. He played 1 season in New York where he was like fully healthy, but it was also the season where he like got benched and wasn't playing all the time. So I'm hopeful that Mekhi Becton stays healthy, especially now that the Chargers do not have Rashawn Slater, because if they don't have Becton out there, then you're talking about the same interior trio from the Houston game, plus Trey Pipkins in for Rashawn Slater. So that definitely becomes an injury. And Jamaree, I think, is in a better place now. I think he played pretty well on Sunday, which we can talk about. But just if Mekhi Becton misses time, as we've talked about, we're back to square one here, and the lack of other moves just makes this worrisome. So I think Mekhi Becton will play week 1. I'm not in the same space as like Najee, where I'm just wait and see. But to me, this could become kind of like a wear and tear situation that drags on through the season, and that's hopefully what we're trying to avoid here. So definitely wait and see mode for Mekhi. I think he'll ultimately be okay, but this could be like a Mike Williams situation where he's just kind of dealing with stuff all throughout the season, and we just don't know really like what the Chargers have in him because he's always dealing with stuff, which I hope is not the case. But Mekhi has done that before in his past.
Yeah, I'm still optimistic he'll be out there week 1, but this I'm hoping he can still stay in some game shape, if you will. This is definitely not. I'm not trying to throw this out there at him. He's not the lightest player in the world either. So I'm hoping that with this rest, whatever's going on, he's still able to keep in game shape, be ready for a trip to Brazil. The other bummer, just no matter what, even if it is minor and he is able to practice for week 1 on that Monday or whatever their practice schedule is that week, and he's good to go, he's not getting reps next to new right tackle Trey Pipkins. maybe like walkthrough stuff, I guess. But that's
Yeah.
obviously very different. So he practiced with Joe Alt as his right tackle. It's been great. We loved it. The memes were fantastic for 3.5 weeks. Now he has not practiced, and there's a new right tackle. So there's and there's been a center guard competition.
Yeah, he's never played with Bozeman before.
Yeah, never played with Bozeman at all. And half the summer it's been off and on with Bozeman or Zion. So now there's a new right tackle. The center has been set. He's not out there, working with these guys, trying to get that chemistry, that pickup stuff, whatever, all the offensive line jargon you want to talk about. So it's I think like you, I think he'll be okay by week 1, but there's just still, like you said, it could linger into the regular season. The chemistry might not 100% be there because he's not practicing. Even if he is out there by week 1, there are some reasons to be concerned for how he'll be at the start of the year.
Yeah, it's just we were hoping for the offense to be able to just like take a different level of step forward this year. Last year, new offense, Justin Herbert gets injured. You're running through so many young guys. The receiver room was kind of a mess to start the season. And then this year with everything that's gone on, it just, this coaching staff, I think, is going to have to really adapt to what they thought they were going to have heading into the season versus now. No Rashawn, Mekhi's not healthy. Najee Harris is not healthy. Mike Williams Keenan Allen instead of Mike Williams. Yeah. So we're going to see really like how much Greg Roman has been able to like kind of stabilize things a little bit. And I know like that probably makes Chargers fans a little nervous, and I could see your face there. But if Greg Roman really is this guy who just has a really high floor as an offensive coordinator, last year we didn't really get to see it for various reasons. This year, same kind of thing. But now it's like, okay, this team needs to be in a win a playoff game kind of situation. And if Greg Roman can't do enough to match his defensive coordinator, who we feel who can do that, then we'll potentially have a very different conversation about Greg Roman, going forward. And I don't want to jump the gun here too much, but it's really frustrating how many things are happening with the offense that are taken away from their ability to install a proper game plan, get into a rhythm, build momentum to the season, and none of that really is happening right now.
No, it just feels like we're barely making it to week 1. Everything's just kind of slowly falling apart. Tragic incidents, random occurrences, rare stuff, retirements, everything has just been, it just slowly chipping away at the Chargers, and it's not getting any easier. It's all basically happening on offense, and so far, like the offensive line. And that 4-week stretch to start the year sucks. 3 division games as is. The easiest team you're going to face is the Giants, who have an absolute freight train of a defensive line, which is exactly what the Chargers don't need. It's like Greg Roman, Devlin, Hardwick, all these guys, they really got to earn their money the first few weeks of the year.
Yeah, 100%. I promise we're going to be more positive on today's show.
Marlowe Wax was sick, everybody.
But yeah, man, the updates from Greg Roman today and the practice were it was not great. So hopefully Mekhi is fine. Hopefully Najee can get out there at some point in the season, and we'll get to see them in some capacity going forward.
Yes.
All righty. Our audio audience is going to take a quick little break here, and then we will get some more positive things from the Chargers and Saints film review here in a second. All right. You mentioned Marlowe Wax. I think that's the right place where I want to start.
Cool.
He's been a guy that you have liked, obviously, going back to his film study, liked, relatively speaking, for like an undrafted free agent, obviously. I see him working in with the second team defense in training camp when I'm there. I'm hearing good things. I'm just kind of waiting, right? Because undrafted free agent linebacker, what does this actually look like on game day? And then in the Hall of Fame game, he had some really like physical plays. And I was not necessarily going to like focus on him to start watching. Like I wanted first and foremost to see like what did Jamaree Caldwell look like? What did the offense look like, etc. But Marlowe Wax just kept on popping up time and time again in a different way. So we highlighted his physicality after the game because that's what stood out live. And I'm seeing a guy, run these over routes for the slot receivers. I'm seeing him drop to the hook and just playing with great instincts all throughout the game from a coverage standpoint. And, he's rotating in and out with Mauga and Emily Johnson, who's playing like dime linebacker for them a little bit here, which I thought he looked good too. But so Marlowe Wax is just, I feel like he's just building and building and building. So it starts with practice. He has good practices. Things are going well. He has a good Hall of Fame game. And then this past week, man, like I was just so impressed with his coverage instincts, his ability to be in the right play at the right place at the right time, his ability to communicate. He's out there talking with everybody. You know, he's out there pointing things out to Tony Jefferson. Jefferson speaking back to him on tape. I'm seeing all of this great stuff from Marlowe Wax, and I think he, for me, was the best player on tape this week on both sides of the ball. I think that he was just consistently in the right position, physical, coverage instincts, everything. So I was super impressed with Marlowe Wax on tape, and I think this is probably one of my favorite individual performances through the preseason so far.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I know we don't have a ton of games so far, but no linebacker in the preseason has had more tackles in one game than he has. He leads with 10. He had 8 in this game. And they were all generally pretty meaningful. Some of it was just he was on one side of the field and it was in coverage and he was doing something else on that side. Guy catches the pass over here. He's running over to make sure that's okay. Run plays, he's there. The sack, obviously, he like was more like contain on that particular rush. But once he, was able to go, he went and got the sack. The coverage stuff was, I think, always very good. Watching him in college, yes, there were some flaws. Like this is a UDFA. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, I thought he was a 3rd round pick. But I thought that what he showed in coverage was like, okay, I can see Minter using that kind of the way that Henley does. And this is a guy with, 95 pressures in college, 21 sacks, 8 forced fumbles. This is a guy who's been a playmaker at Syracuse. Granted, with that said, I don't know why he was undrafted, but I didn't study linebackers. He's just been very impressive. And we're now at the point where he looks better than Colson. His game, Colson didn't play. But this game looked better than Colson's game. We've seen 2 guys start, basically, and Wax looked a heck of a lot better. If nothing else, he was more impactful in the stat sheet. But with Delshon Phillips on the PUP list, I really think that all the attention's been, well, not anymore, like Steve O'Klotz, massive potential Josh Kaltenberger, and all these guys. But like Marlowe Wax is quietly the guy that I think people should be asking about more, talking about more. Yeah, because he plays like LB3, LB4, and I don't think he'll be active over Junior Colson. But with the way things are trending with Phillips, who has not been, he's been on the PUP list since July 14th or something. Yeah, it's been about a month now. Marlowe Wax is the guy I hope Chargers fans start focusing in more on because he's playing awesome. And it, like you said, it's in coverage. It's crazy. He has a sack. He looks good in coverage, and he's got physicality in the run game. What else is a guy supposed to do? Yeah. Like that's about as good of a 1-2-3 as he could have had, and he had good numbers and all of that. If you look at like the coverage numbers, I think it says he allowed like 44 receiving yards in this game, but a lot of it was just kind of garbage stuff where like they're just playing back. He's sitting, it's in front of him, he tackles that guy. It's in front of him, he tackles that guy. So I wouldn't really put too much stock in like those numbers because I was worried after the game, like what happened? Why does he have 44 receiving yards? Mostly just stuff that's cleanup. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't think there's really been a specific single. Eric Rodgers 2 interceptions is pretty good. Nico Reed was pretty good, but I would say like he's at least in the conversation with 2 or the 3 best preseason games by a Charger so far.
I think just the consistency is what I've been most pleased with, and I think there were a couple of plays where him and Troy Dye were on the field together, and there was a play where Troy Dye comes up and he takes on the puller, closes the space, and then Wax is right there for the tackle. It wasn't for loss, but it was like for a 1-yard gain, something like that. And then the next series comes in and it's the reverse, and Wax takes on the puller and he closes the space, and then Dye gets the tackle. And just like the ability to see 2 linebackers who are in sync like that, I think really shows somebody who, again, is just seeing things really, really well. He's able to look at the guy next to him and be able to anticipate his moves. And that's what's so great about Dan Henley and Denzel Perryman is they work so in sync together. And so it's been fun to see that, when he gets to play with Troy Dye. I wish that were the case for Junior Colson, and he didn't play on Sunday, obviously. Roster construction is such a thing that's up in the air right now because of all of these injuries and because of, we just have no idea. But if we are talking purely about a player who has earned the right to make the roster, I think Caleb Murphy is one of those players. I think Marlowe Wax is one of those players, just from a consistency standpoint. He hasn't necessarily like popped on special teams. Part of that is because Caleb Murphy is popping on special teams. Kendall Williamson is popping on special teams, but he's out there. You know, he's getting the reps. He led them in special team snaps, I believe, this past week. So he's, like you said, he's doing all the right things to make the roster. Can he be LB4? I'm not too sure. But similar to like Najee and Becton, we have no idea with Delshon Phillips. We have no idea what he's going to look like from a ramp up standpoint. I don't know if they can squeeze Marlowe Wax in through waivers, but I think that Wax deserves to be in the 53 conversation based off of how he's played so far.
Yeah, this one I think everyone and Jim Harbaugh highlighted Wax as one of like the standout players from the game in his presser. I think the play will generally always be good. I think he's earned it based on what he's done. I think it's just going to come down to, is Phillips healthy or not? If he's not, I think Wax makes it. And if he is, then I don't think Wax makes it, which kind of sucks. And again, Phillips, there's been no peep or word about him so far, and it's been a month. So I'm going to assume he's not going to be ready. But this is also the guy that played like the 4th most special team snaps in the NFL last year in Phillips. Clearly, they brought him in for that Nick Niemann role. So if he's healthy, he makes it, or he's over Wax. But if not, I would really start pushing for Marlowe Wax, which feels nice. I feel like Marlowe Wax is now kind of like our guy, because everyone's talking about the other guys, Trey Lance and whatever, and we'll talk about all those guys. But like, how about a special teams or depth UDFA linebacker, man?
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice, and they could do. Phillips starts the season on IR or whatever the case may be for him. Wax plays the first 4 games, and then you swap the 2, and Wax gets onto the practice squad. Again, we'll see. But I just think the theme of today's show is guys pushing past players who should be theoretically ahead of them. And Wax has just been phenomenal through 2 games. All right, Tyler, who is your big standout after Marlowe Wax?
I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Tucker Fisk.
Hey.
Listen, I love watching blocking stuff, and I love watching fun, gooder blocking stuff. You know what I mean? Especially after the last few years of not so gooder blocking stuff. Granted, Will Dissly was sensational last year. When Alex wrote and reported that, like the PFF had Tucker Fisk as like the highest PFF grade of the day, I went, when Tucker Fisk played, because I don't really watch the tight ends or the blocking tight ends as much. I'm watching the running backs and the tight ends or the receiving tight ends, all that sort of stuff. What does it look like? What did it look like? Why did he get this grade? Goodness gracious. Okay, for one, this is a really, really big dude. He looks a little more slender to me, or at least he looks faster than I recall. As usually more of like a bigger guy who knocks people over. He looked like he could work like a little bit quicker than I recall. There's one play, it might have been like the first run play, where he's helping the right tackle with the D tackle, and then he flips all the way back around and takes out a linebacker. And I went, whoa, can Tucker Fisk move like that? I didn't know that. This is a player who's, I believe, 4th best in blocking grade overall, run blocking grade overall in the preseason, top 2 in zone. I think it's 5th in gap, if I'm not mistaken. He was awesome. And it's kind of like full circle on Tucker Fisk, because I agreed with you before training camp. Like Tucker Fisk, his role is so defined. He might catch 4 passes, but he's there as a blocker. Like that is his specific role, and he's good at it. And you show, like you demonstrated in a tweet, like what is the difference with Tucker Fisk on the field as a blocker? And it was a very significant difference in a positive way with Fisk out there. But then it was, we're not hearing a word about Tucker Fisk in camp. And look, what did I expect, right? Again, I don't think he'll catch many passes this year, but we didn't really hear anything. And it's like, okay, well, Nico Reed or whoever, all these UDFAs, okay, I guess we have to leave Tucker Fisk off. And then Tucker Fisk said, fuck off. And he went out a sensational game. Like Tucker Fisk looked like Wilson Fisk out there. He looked awesome out there. I think it was like 12 snaps. So it feels like I'm overhyping nothing, but like genuinely good stuff that is by far and away, other than Will Dissly, the best blocking stuff by quite a large margin of any other fullback or tight end on this team.
Yeah, hard agree there. He's a guy who's just super consistently driving defenders off the ball. His work in particular with like combo blocks is fantastic, where he's able to line up right next to the left tackle, right tackle, he gets real movement with the tackle. Like it really doesn't matter which tackle he's playing with. He's always in sync with that. He'll detach at the right time, get the linebacker, move the linebacker off his spot. He's just so physical, and people are saying that he should play offensive line full time. This is not a full like Darnell Washington situation, who's like actively bigger than his left tackle. But Tucker Fisk has always been, since the Chargers have like promoted him, he's always been somebody that I've enjoyed watching. And so whenever him and Matlock or him and Gadsden or him and Steve O'Klotz, whoever is next to him from a tight end perspective, he's always the one that the Chargers trust to get movement on that side. And again, roster construction is going to be so interesting this year. I do not feel good about a 53-man prediction right now at all. Cannot emphasize that enough. But when it comes to like, again, sheer execution of your role, Tucker Fisk is a great move blocking tight end. He is a great guy who can move people off the football, and that's the job. And I would hate if they decided to not keep him. He gets claimed, he decides to go elsewhere, and then like, I hope Wildesley stays healthy, but if he misses any time and your blocking unit goes from Wildesley, Tucker Fisk, and then Oronde Gadsden, Tyler Conklin, and Scott Matlock, to now Scott Matlock is like your best blocking tight end, and it would not make me feel great. So I hope that Tucker Fisk is able to do enough to make this roster, because I just think like for this specific team who wants to play with multiple tight ends out there so much, you need an ass kicker out there, and that's Tucker Fisk, and this is what his role is, and he is going to continue to do that. And I enjoy watching him play and block football. It's a sight to see for sure.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. And this is a team that has lost their left tackle, who's an elite run blocker. They just need to make it up. They're not going to have a Rashawn Slater on the team, but you can make up some of those things with some of the players, at least in the run blocking department. And I just think Tucker Fisk, you have to keep him on, because if Becton's hurt and it is full steam ahead, run the football, why would you want Tucker Fisk off of your team? Like, this is so much their identity. Right. From a roster construction standpoint, like, okay, I kind of get it, but from like a Chargers offensive football standpoint, they have to keep him. I would prefer to keep him over, I don't know, Branson Taylor.
Yeah, he's like you said, he's their second best blocker. I think there's a good chance that he might be their best blocking tight end, ahead of Wildesley, which is kind of crazy. So it just fits the identity to have this guy out there. And the Ravens always had this kind of player. Obviously, later on with Patrick Ricard, it was very different. And when the Scott Matlock stuff was happening, everybody's like, this is the new Patrick Ricard. Well, Tucker Fisk is a much better blocker, guys. And not trying to throw shade to anybody, but Tucker Fisk is just a different level right now in terms of his technique, in terms of his movement that he can create. The drive that he has in his lower half is so insane. So he's an awesome player. Hopefully he's done enough to make this roster, because the Chargers do, I think, need him.
I agree.
All right, next up for me, I think we've kind of talked about the Caleb Murphy situation previously. I don't know if we necessarily have to rehash like the Kyle Kennard aspect of this.
Sure.
But Murphy stood out again. We kind of knew that was happening. I was very impressed by his run stopping, but watching the game back on tape, Tremont Morris-Brash, I thought, had his best game as a Charger. There were multiple very impressive wins. Again, the inside spin he likes to do is very, very nice. There was a cross chop, but to me, the most impressive stuff that I watched was his run defense. Like he really can set an edge at a much higher level this year than he was able to do last year. Some of that is obviously an increased level of strength. Some of that is obviously, technique. Working with a guy like Khalil Mack definitely cannot hurt. But he played the whole game, basically. And even at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, he's still out there setting a mean edge. So Murphy gets the sacks. But I thought that Tremont Morris-Brash was just a notch more consistent. Definitely as a run defender, he won more. His pass rush win rate in the 2 preseason games is like 21%. So he's making a strong impact this season. I don't think that Morris-Brash can make this roster, because Murphy play special teams and is really, really good on special teams.
Mhm.
But both of these guys definitely have outplayed Kyle Kennard so far. One of them will make the roster. I think that's Murphy, but Morris Brash is definitely earning a spot on the practice squad again this year.
Definitely. Like, hopefully that is the case, whether it's one or the other. Get one on the roster, get one on the practice squad, and feel pretty good about that. Morris Brash, as you said, higher win rate. I honestly didn't even realize, because Caleb Murphy gets the splash plays and they're great, like, not taken away from him. I really didn't know that Morris Brash did what he did until we rewatched the tape. And I wasn't even going to key in on him until you started posting some clips of like that, that key, Melvin Ingram spin move kind of deal. And then you look at the numbers, like his win rate is better. The run defense is arguably better. Caleb Murphy just happens. He's great. He just has the 2 sacks. He has the forced fumble. He jet lines, 70 yards down the field for a special teams tackle. He's very, very deserving. But if the Chargers actually decided to go with Trayvon Morris Brash instead of Caleb Murphy, because Morris Brash has played more special team snaps actually, then like it wouldn't actually surprise me, because if you look at the stuff on the field, it's pretty good. It's arguably as good without the splash plays. The special teams, he's playing it. He's young enough. It's a very good problem to have that the Chargers have right now. We've been saying this about the defensive depth all offseason long, but yeah, for all the hype that Caleb Murphy is getting, I actually have to like almost walk it back, because I have to put more respect on like Morris Brash's game so far, because he is arguably as good, if not better, on defense.
Yeah, and again, he's so close to getting those sacks, and he's so close to finishing the reps well. His wins are cleaner than Murphy's. Murphy's had a couple of great reps. The cross chop where he got the strip sack, that was very, very clean. It was fantastic. His second sack was more about an adjustment, and it was great. I tweeted the clip out, put the YouTube short on it. So in the second one, he starts with a long arm stab, and then he realizes that that's not going to work. So he kind of forklifts the tackle's arms up like this. Great adjustment. But Morris Brash is winning in a more variety of ways off the line. And I think he is a little bit more refined in that regard. So we'll see what happens. The Chargers have 2 more games from preseason standpoint. These 2 guys are going to play a lot. Obviously, Kylan Guidry and Garmon Randolph, they're playing like the fourth quarter and start of the third quarter kind of situation. But Morris Brash in particular is going to have 2 more games to really, really show what he can do. Does he show out well enough where the Chargers can't really stash him on the practice squad? That's potentially on the table. I mean, everybody needs more pass rushers right now, but it's a good problem to have that these 2 guys are both kind of starting to establish their, spot in the pecking order here.
Yeah, very curious. So let's see. Caleb Murphy was on the Titans for 2 years-ish, and 1.5 years, I guess, because he was cut last year, and then with the Chargers last year. I don't know who you can hide better. The guy that's been with another team. But then again, like some people just, not that he's a journeyman, it's a second team, but it's like, we may wait on him, versus Morris Brash is like kind of a Chargers specific project that other teams might be paying attention to. So I don't know. But right now, I think I would call them neck and neck, maybe with a slight edge to Caleb Murphy.
Yeah. I would agree, just because Murphy has at least the special teams tackles. Like he's doing, a very, very good job in that regard. And I think, that aspect does matter quite a bit. Okay, before we get to some more film takeaways here, our audio audience is going to take another quick break as we pay some bills here. Our YouTube audience is going to continue right along. Okay, Tyler, who was your next standout here, or narrative, or whatever kind of area you want to take this to?
Yeah, if we're staying along the theme of guys that maybe should get more, running time, I suppose, literally, Rocket Sanders, Naheem Miller-Hines, and arguably Hassan Haskins. All 3 of these guys, at least statistically, and I would argue on the field as well. Granted, Vidal plays earlier. I think they've all outplayed Kamani Vidal, who's kind of the assumed favorite over these guys. But in terms of like statistics, by yards per attempt, Vidal is 4th. By yards after contact per attempt, Vidal is 4th. And yards per route run, Vidal has a negative number and is also 4th. And if you look at what they do on the field, look, Vidal has some circumstance going against him. There's not many carries here, a lot of goal line stuff. Josh Kaltenberger got him killed for like -17 on one run. So like, it's not like there's not enough of a sample size, I guess, to really like say the statistics are true in here. But we've kind of assumed that Vidal is that guy. I know Alex for sure is all about that, but these guys, these other running backs, not only are they competing hard, but statistically they're kind of there as well. The pass pro reps, we saw them live in the game by Miller-Hines. They're better on film. I'm stunned at what he was able to do on essentially consecutive snaps there. Everything that these guys can do is just like they run a little harder. They might be better pass catching options. Their pass protection is excellent. Each of these guys has something that maybe Vidal doesn't. You could argue maybe Vidal's more well-rounded, but these guys in the preseason, man, are really giving him a run for his money. So I think he'll inevitably be safe because of the Najee Harris situation. But I want to see these guys get their fair share and get their fair shot.
Yeah, I think with the running back room construction overall, I've just been like, one of the main reasons why I thought Kamani would just be a lock is because he would be the best pass catcher of that group. He's kind of the slashiest stylistically of that group. You know, he's a bit more speedy, a bit more, you know, shake you out of your shoes kind of running back. And the Ravens always had that guy, whether it's like Keaton Mitchell now, Justice Hill has played that role, Tyson Williams previously. They've always kind of had your third back as kind of your change up from the other two, who are almost always like the bigger bruising backs. Like you're talking about, you know, Latavius Murray and that kind of situation with Mark Ingram. You know, obviously now they have Derrick Henry and they don't really need two guys, but they have always had kind of that third pass catching, faster, shiftier back. And I am curious if Naeem Miller-Hines can do enough to overcome the draft compensation for Kamani, right? Because right now, Naeem Miller-Hines is outperforming Kamani specifically. So I think it's fair to bring Rocket Sanders into this conversation. I think it's fair to bring Haskins into this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unfortunately, Kamani's not dealing with like the best blocking, but specifically with Naeem Miller-Hines, I think he's the one to watch in terms of taking Vidal's roster spot because they're the most similar stylistically. And when they signed Miller-Hines, I was like, this guy hasn't played in a long time. Like, I don't know, athletically, does he still have it? And he absolutely still has some juice, man. Like he has some real speed. He's shown flashes on kickoff return. He's shown flashes, you know, in the run game. So I think Naeem Miller-Hines is the player I'm most like curious about over the last two games. Just from a, you know, is he the one to pop off like a 70-yard run? Does he get another chance to return punts and kicks? Does he pop off a big return? And I think that would kind of help cement his status onto the 53. But right now, I think he would be the one easier to stash on the practice squad because he's, again, like that veteran that, you know, was not playing football last year. So I understand the muff punts, guys. They were not great. You know, but if he can kind of turn that around a little bit, this is a guy who hasn't, again, played football for 2 years. He's going to make mistakes like that. So I'm just curious to see where can he actually take this going forward and over the next two final games here.
Yeah, and the muff punts aren't going to help his roster case. Obviously, they don't help him. But at the same time, if he's on your practice squad and let's say you elevate him, or maybe he makes the 53 and he has to play, he's not returning punts. He might return kicks.
Right.
Darius Davis, Bob McConkey, they're the ones that are returning things. So you're essentially kind of just, it's an added bonus that he's doing these things. And he has looked good as a kick returner. He had a good kickoff return to open the game. And he had a couple good ones against the Lions as well. It's really about what he can do as a running back for this team because the other stuff is going to be handled by other players. So if you look at his pass protection, all right, let's say it's the Chiefs, right? That defensive line is going to get it's going to hurt the Chargers quite a bit. What I saw from Miller-Hines, I want that out there for Justin Herbert when 32 Chiefs players are about to hit him. Like I want that guy out there, not Kamani Vidal. No offense. You know, as a pass catcher, he can do it. He's shown it a lot more in his career. As you said, like, okay, well, it's been since 2023. What could it look like? Looks pretty good. So we haven't seen, 20 carries for 150 yards. I don't know what it looks like for, in a whole season or a big game or whatever. But he looks like a guy who can contribute. And I think he's the one to keep an eye on instead of Vidal potentially.
I'm glad you brought up the pass protection though, because that was the main reason why Kamani was not playing at the end of the season. Like I went back and watched the Week 18 Raiders game, and it was all JK and all Hassan Haskins the entire game. Monty barely played in that game, despite being healthy and theoretically ready to go. So this was a very important offseason for Kamani, and I think he's had some good moments in practice from what we've heard. I think he definitely has improved from a pass protection standpoint. Like I mentioned when I went at practice, he had one of the best reps of the day of any player where he, stonewalled Derwin James on a pass, on a blitz pickup. But Naeem is getting a chance to make some splash plays. And if that continues, that's going to be a tough one for Kamani to make the roster. Again, veteran versus young player who they drafted. How does Najee fit into all this? It's a difficult situation. But Miller-Hines has definitely outplayed Kamani so far. And again, there's 2 more games. We'll see how much the quote unquote starting offensive lineman caliber players are in there again, but they're playing like equal snaps. And if we're just going by, as Jim Harbaugh says, who are the best players, and those are the ones who are going to play, unfortunately for Kamani, he is being outplayed. Not that he's playing poorly. Like there are people out there that are kind of like trashing on Kamani, but these other guys are having better moments right now.
Yeah. So like Tracer's mentioning Rocket over Vidal hands down. That's the one I'm not so sure about because Rocket Sanders is so late to the game. He does have 2 preseason games. It feels like, just missing a lot of true reps. But we'll see what Rocket Sanders does if he jumps in earlier against the Rams on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I don't think this is anything shocking, but I do want to bring up Jamaree Caldwell to end my portion of this. Just somebody who I thought consistently popped up on tape, both as a pass rusher and as a run defender. He has just this innate ability to beat guys to spots, which is so surprising for a guy his size. And again, some of this is working against backup offensive linemen, but even when the Saints starting offensive linemen were in that game, he beat Will Clapp to a couple spots. He beat Trevor Penny to a couple spots, who's apparently going to be one of their starting guards, which I can't believe that sentence is real. But Caldwell, just specifically his juice off the football, has been very pleasantly surprising to me. I knew that he would hold up against double teams. I knew that he has a strong anchor, but his ability off the ball is very Puna-esque. Like Puna is another one of those guys who shouldn't be as fast off the ball as he was, but is. And Jamaree's kind of that same way. So I'm still not super positive like where his role is in this defensive line if everybody is healthy. And it was definitely a bit of a slow start to training camp. Part of that was like, the coaching staff maybe leaning on the veterans a little bit here. But he had some good moments in the Hall of Fame game. And then in this game, I think he really, really stood out in a positive way. So I was very, very happy with Jamaree Caldwell and his performance on tape. Again, just the quickness to me is like the most impressive thing from that game so far.
Yeah, super impressive. This is a pick that could have gone, and we still don't know, right? But one of 2 directions with the potential playing weight issues. You never know. 3rd round pick, not a lock, not a guarantee.
Right.
Or it could be what the Chargers seem to be doing with him right now, which is like taking this ball of clay, a very athletic guy for 333, whatever he is now, I don't know, but a very, very athletic guy. They seem to just mold him. The technique seems to be there. How he holds up is there. Those both arms, one arm, you name it, the motor. Just they're kind of getting everything advertised out of the best of what Caldwell could be.
Yeah.
We'll see what it looks like, when you play, I don't know, Creed Humphrey, we'll see what that looks like.
Sure. Very different. Very different.
A little bit different. But so far, like at minimum, what do you want a 3rd round pick to do? Like he's acing the tests. He looks good. He looks the part. Theo Ash seems to be his biggest champion. I don't know when that started, but like that's Theo Ash's guy now, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's been doing everything we'd hope from him and more.
Yeah. And I've said this a couple of times on Twitter and things like that. I've said it on the show before. This defensive tackle room is easily the position group that I feel the most better about than where we were at the start of training camp.
Yeah.
Otito looks great. I don't even think he played this week. So I think the coaching staff is, oh wait, he got injured. That's right. Never mind. I was going to say something there, but Deshaun Hand looks great. Tier Tart has looked great in practice. Naquan Jones also had some moments in this game that made me kind of stand up a bit.
Yeah.
Jamaree Caldwell. I thought even Justin Boygby had some good moments in this game. Even Scott Malak had some good moments in this game.
Yeah.
So this defensive tackle room is like slowly shaping into a much better form than I thought was going to be the case to, head into the start of the season. And obviously if Jamaree Caldwell can hit and impact immediately, that just changes things. Whereas like a few weeks ago, we were like, oh, is this going to be like another Justin Boygby situation where he's maybe doing like a red shirt season, but he looks like he can impact the season right away, which would be huge for this team. Yeah. And yes, I realized most better was horrible English, but I don't know, man. I couldn't think of a better way to say that.
We also, don't care.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like
when you talk for an hour straight, stuff like that happens a lot.
Yes. Believe it or not, earlier when I said gooder, I also understood that I was doing that. In case you were I understand like what I was doing with that. So yeah, my apologies. School starts for me tomorrow.
Yeah, my wife will not be happy to hear that I said most better on a podcast, but she's an English teacher.
Yeah. I teach science. We don't know what we're doing.
You're good with numbers and materials,
I can light stuff on fire and
whatever. Did you have anyone else that you wanted to shout out before we get to some of these fan questions?
I don't think so. I think we got everyone either post game or we've already talked about them.
Yeah, that's good. Kevin says mostest betterest. Yes, exactly.
Heck yeah.
Okay, let's jump into some fan questions. We'll take questions for about 10 minutes. Does that sound good?
Yep, sounds good to me.
Okay, we'll get it with some super chats to start off. Dennis Plant says, we see Najee. The question is, can he see us?
Well, was it Terrell Davis that had that like massive migraine headache, and then he just had to be out there for like one of the most critical moments in a game for the Broncos?
Like the legend Terrell Davis?
Yeah. There's someone knows this. Someone will know this in the chat. There was some game where he like basically couldn't see, I think because of a migraine or a headache, and they just had to either he had to get him out there to pretend like he was going to get the football, or he actually did, but it was just like the most simple forward play. Somebody knows, or nobody knows.
I don't remember hearing about this.
I'm gonna find it.
I think that was a long time ago. I'm surprised you remember that, because that was like Terrell Davis, wasn't he like in the 90s?
First of all, chill. During the Super Bowl, he experienced a migraine that blurred his vision to the point of near blindness. Despite this, he was used as a decoy on a play action fake to draw the defense away from John Elway, from a John Elway quarterback keeper, which resulted in a touchdown. I don't know if that was the helicopter one. I don't know. It's a real thing, though.
Wow.
Look at that. Couldn't tell you much about like actual science, but I can tell you about Terrell Davis being blind one time.
That is, I never knew that. I knew not. Says don't act like the 90s is an old time. I was born in the 90s.
Tell it to my students.
But I'm saying like you and I were like little children when that happened.
Yeah. I don't even know what year that was. 19. I don't know. Not doing the math there. Yeah, we our ASB boot camp, we had like a like icebreaker sort of thing. The kids wanted to do an icebreaker, like who's your like favorite music artist or rapper or whatever. And I brought up Nas, and the kids had no idea who I was talking about. I was just like, I'm gonna go die now.
That's sad.
Sad. So like, they're just like, who? They're like Lil Nas X. I'm like, no. Oh,
that's sad.
Anyway,
that's sad.
There's that.
Richard says, guys, don't worry. Becton's just getting his Super Bowl ring. I mean, that was the thing that he did.
I want to go back to that day, like those times. It was so simple. Like, oh, he's just getting his Super Bowl ring. Those were nice times.
Yeah, nice times indeed.
All right, do another super chat in here. Oh, sorry.
Trying to order food for Brooke and I. Well,
I got you. Okay, I got the order. All right. So Richard says, Steven, it's a Steven question. Great. Steven, offensive line question. Since Slater injured his left knee, would it be easier on his leg if we moved him to right tackle, protecting the leg he has to kick out? I'm not sure that's how it works. So since he injured his left knee, is it better to move him to right tackle to protect the leg he has to kick out?
My initial thought process with this is like, we all have stronger legs, right? Like your dominant side is definitely stronger, right? I would think that your inside leg is the leg that you want to be stronger because that's the one that you're like pushing off of. That's the leg that you are anchoring towards the inside. That's what you're using to protect your inside window. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to be like I absolutely know how to answer this. My instinct is like I would rather have my outside leg be weaker than my inside leg. But I don't know because your inside leg is your anchor leg. So I think it would be the opposite. Um, but a lot of this is going to depend on his recovery. A lot of this is going to depend on Joe Alt and like what the team wants to do there. If Joe Alt has the season that I expect him to have at left tackle, I think the team is going to sit there and go, yeah, man, like we want this guy at left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chargers, like, even though I don't love that they're moving people around, their pecking order, if you will, of like, if people get injured, this is our response. They very clearly want left tackle to be absolutely protected and be premium and things like that. Whereas my preference would have been you lose Slater, just put Pipkins in, you know, just so you're minimizing movements. But the Chargers have said different times, we want our better tackle to play left. And so I could see a world where, you know, we get to, you know, April, May, and the Chargers are kind of figuring out where Rashawn is at. And they just say, hey, man, like you got to play right. You know, Joe is our left tackle going forward. And I believe Rashawn played a little right tackle in college, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think it was. Yeah.
I think both players will be okay. But from a health standpoint, I would rather have my inside leg be my stronger leg.
Yeah. As far as Slater, I mean, he's not going to be practicing until training camp. And at that point, you've gone the entire offseason, OTAs, you know, all that sort of stuff with Joe Alt at left tackle, I'm guessing, is what they would do next year. So they might just keep that heading into the year.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot of questions about like, well, what does this mean for the future? Are you going to draft a tackle early, etc.? I think the Chargers just have to wait and see until Rashawn, who had surgery today, by the way, gets into his recovery a little bit more. So I would be stunned if they drafted a tackle early. I think the wiser thing would be maybe let's go get like next year's kind of Jalen Moore type who signed with the Chiefs for, I think it was like $15 million. And let's just invest in a premium swing tackle who can start for us if we need to. That's probably how I would prefer that they operate, which I know that's not going to move people if they go sign an expensive swing tackle and it's like they have all this money, etc. But that's kind of how I would prefer to see them. I don't want to invest a first round pick in a rookie and have to play him like inside or play the Rashawn inside, which is not happening. So that's kind of my preference. I would rather go pay somebody.
Yeah, we'll see. There's a non-zero chance they also just bring Trey Pipkins back.
Yeah, that would not surprise me.
Yeah.
All right, that is our last super chat there.
Cool.
Mark, chill out. In the chat, chill out.
Oh, wow. Hey, you know, whatever. I've heard of Anchor. Well, maybe it helps.
Tragedy Productions, great taste in rappers. Also a Nas fan.
Yes. What is everyone's favorite rapper or like Mount Rushmore? Go for it. Drop that at the end of the thing. By the way, I love posting our shorts with rap music because every 5 posts, someone goes, I don't like rap music, and it makes me just want to post with more. It's like, okay, what else can I pull from here?
My favorite rapper is Prime Kanye, like the stuff that he was doing with like Graduation. Yeah. He's awesome. I love Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi, again, somebody I grew up with and somebody that I loved. I saw him in concert multiple times. Eminem, obviously up at that list. Nas is on that list. Kendrick is on that list. There's a few, but for me, like Prime Kanye is the best of my life.
Yeah, it's a perfect time. Well, we grew up with some great music as is, but that specific Kanye run that we grew up with, like I can remember like the years of my life that like when Graduation came out, like that is just a staple of my like early middle school, high school days. I guess late elementary school as well. Just like, yeah, that was the one. So for me, it's like
Somebody
Nas,
said Jaboozy.
Jaboozy. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Nas, 50 Cent, Kanye, Tupac. That's my 4, I think.
There you go.
Those are just my favorites.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm glad we got some Kid Cudi fans in the chat. Let's go.
Yeah.
Man on the Moon 2, great albums. Loved him. So part of that was definitely like, he came to Utah for a concert before he like went big, and it was like cool in Utah to be like a fan of Kid Cudi. And then he popped off, so it was fun.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. When I was in high school and college, we used to have these things like every single Friday night in Utah. They would have this concert series called the Twilight Series, where everything like you would do a concert right as the sun is setting, and they would bring out low-key artists. Like a big artist would come every now and then, and a variety of different musics, right? Like one year the Foo Fighters came out for that, and I loved it. So
Yeah.
my taste in music is very different. Right now I'm like super into 2000s rock.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so it was cool. Like Kid Cudi came before he was big. G-Eazy came one year. So it was a fun concert series. We would go like every single weekend there.
Yeah. That's awesome. What do we have here?
One more super chat before we jump out of here. It says, hey fellas, we obviously want to win the Super Bowl, but with the state of the team, what is your ceiling and floor for our Bolts this year? Hoping playoff W's.
I think ceiling for me is, and that's ceiling. So literally the best case scenario, divisional round win. Floor. I mean, floor is 8 wins, and that doesn't, and you don't make the playoffs. I think there's enough games on there. The Raiders, like even my dad doesn't think the Raiders are good. He's a Raiders fan. So, the Raiders are on there, the Giants, there are teams that they can beat. No idea what the Cowboys are going to be in a few months. So I think like I'll even say the floor is 7 wins, to be honest.
Without Rashawn, I can see the floor being 7. I think for me it's still 8 because I just think this team is so well coached, and we've talked about a lot of preseason stars and things like that. The depth of the roster is really good. I think the floor is still pretty high with 8 wins, barring like Justin Herbert gets injured again severely, like that kind of situation, which hopefully never happens again. Yeah. The ceiling for me, I would say, I think a fair expectation is still to see this team win a playoff game. I know losing Rashawn Slater sucks, but just with the step forward from the defense, Justin Herbert being healthy, hopefully the whole season, I think you could see a 12 win season as a ceiling, win a playoff game, maybe 2. But like likely expectation, I think for me is probably like 10-7 at this point, with a playoff win hopefully being the outcome there. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, this get out of the first 4 games 2-2, and I think you'll feel okay.
Yeah,
even though that's not great because that means you probably lost to the Broncos and the Chiefs, but I think they're gonna have to weather a bit of a storm before they can really take off.
If they can somehow start the season 3-1, that would be amazing.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Like if they can manage to, beat the Chiefs week 1 or the Broncos week 2, one of those situations, and then you beat the Raiders, beat the Giants, I think we will all feel a lot better about the rest of the season going forward.
Yeah. Charlie says this team is not getting out coached by anyone this year. I don't know. I'll have to look at their schedule, obviously. And Jim Harbaugh is probably up there. I am very curious how more aggressive he might be in certain situations, given some of the deficiencies on offense.
Yeah. In terms of being out coached, I think there are specific weeks where one of the units will be outcoached.
Yeah,
Like
that's
Greg
correct.
Roman versus Brian Flores makes me very nervous.
Yeah,
And Jesse Minter's scheme versus the Commanders is very, very interesting to me because he invites a lot of like check downs and, running the football, things like that do kind of play into the strengths of the Washington Commanders offense. I don't know if I would count that as like being out coached. But yeah, there aren't many offensive schemes that I feel like can definitely like schematically get the best of Jesse Minter. There are going to be games where Justin Jefferson pops off or Tyreek Hill pops off. That kind of stuff is possible, but I just think Jesse Minter is one of the best in the business. But
yeah. So pure out coached from like the whole coaching staff perspective. Give Kansas City, that edge until proven otherwise. You could argue Minnesota. I think that'd be fair, to be honest, because the offensive play caller is superior. They did lose to Pittsburgh, most recently. So maybe that. Eagles. I don't know. Texans TBD.
Yeah.
But again, it's more of a who's playing Greg Roman that week discussion than it is Harbaugh or Minter.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have one of the best special teams coordinators in the league as well. So that needs to be said. Ryan Ficken is awesome. So, but there are going to be weeks where like this defense just kind of lacks a little juice outside of their top guys, which we saw last year. But again, I just don't know if that's like, oh yeah, he got the better of Jesse Minter. Like those will be the takes. But if the Chargers end up with like the 12th best defense, I don't think it's a slight on Jesse Minter. I just think that it's personnel matchups sometimes are not as favorable. And, it's not like he's dealing with a ton of premium resources outside of, Derwin and Khalil and things like that.
No, the 12th would be awesome. That doesn't sound great. We're all pushing that for that lovely top 10 or top 5 or best 3. Top 12 for the defense would be awesome, as long as the offense is not 25th.
Yeah. All right, you guys. That is going to do it for us tonight. We'll be back here again on Thursday, and then Chargers have a game on Saturday this week. So we'll be having a live recap on Saturday instead of Sunday. And then next week, Saturday as well against the 49ers. So it's still kind of tripping me out that the Chargers have one more preseason game. I'm just like I'm so conditioned to the 3 now that I'm like, okay, next week roster cuts downs. Let's go. And that's just, we got another week. So either way, we will be here making content for you guys. Appreciate the heck out of you. This has been another episode of the Guilty as Charged podcast. We'll see you next time. As always, bolt up.